Hello. Welcome to part 9 of a series looking at the 100 best comics of the 20th century as selected by the Comics Journal in number 210, February 1999. This was a seminal moment for me, reading this list of comics. A lot of them I had never read at all. There were some I had never heard of. A real revelation at the time. And that's why 25 years later, my friend Alex and I made this zine. This is the CANON Annual 2024. This big hefty beast. We interviewed the surviving list makers, talked about every title on the list, just dug into the stats and the minutia, paid more attention to that list than anyone else ever has. It was a labor of love, and if you're interested in this, it's at canonzine.bigcartel.com. I'll put that site in the show notes, and otherwise we'll hop into it. At number 20, Uncle Scrooge by Carl Barks. Uncle Scrooge at this point had been a recurring character in Donald Duck. In Barks' Donald Duck stories, and it was decided to give him his own feature. And this is this book actually has the first stories from that. Just fantastic cartooning. The Journal makes a distinction between Donald Duck and Uncle Scrooge. Gets 2 spots on the list. I'm not enough of an aficionado to make that distinction. They all look great to me, frankly. I think the cartooning is just so clean. The storytelling is so crisp. You know, these 8-panel pages that just move. They're great. It's just great storytelling. And yes, these were made for kids, but as the legion of Barks fans around the world will tell you, they're fun for all ages. At number 19, the Robert Crumb sketchbooks. This is one of the Taschen volumes. There's 6 of these. It takes you from, the early 60s up through the 2000s. Really great books. Whatever you think of Crumb, he's a wonderful cartoonist. One of the best to ever do it. Just a pure cartoonist. A lot of this material is not safe for work, so I'm flipping pretty quickly. But I think you can get a taste of just how great he was. And while this is sort of an unconventional choice, clearly there's no narrative here, but obviously these are recognizable as cartooning and as comics to me. Gary Groth had this at number 1 on his list, which I'm sure he did to be provocative, but it's a defensible choice, and one that he stood by when I interviewed him for Canon. At number 18, Polly and Her Pals by Cliff Sterrett. Polly and Her Pals is primarily known for the beautiful Sunday strips. Really inventive, lively cartooning. This is a collection of the entire year of 1933. You can really see, though, just his great character designs. I really like his style. It's really fun. And these are really great reads, actually. As you can see, they're not too wordy. Just really, really fun stuff. Very modern in a way. And by modern, I mean, they look like they could have been made in the 60s, but still a very fun style. Like I said, I prefer the Sunday pages. Those really just pop, but it was a really fun strip. Ran for a really long time. I don't think this would place as high on a list today. Just don't think enough people have read it, frankly. Certainly they haven't read it in big chunks that would place it this high. Placing it number 18 is very high on the list. And this seems like the biggest surprise of the top 20 to me. At number 17, the Acme Novelty Library by Chris Ware. Probably could have grabbed a smaller issue, but this is what I grabbed. Well, it looks imposing at this size. This was the most recent entry on the list. At this high up the list, at least. There may have been something else that squeaked in there that was from the mid to late 90s, but this one's well into the teens, so not too bad. It shows you the high esteem Ware was held in very quickly once he had his own vehicle, the Acme Novelty Library. Each of the issues is different size, looks different. Well worth tracking down. At number 16, Raw, edited by Art Spiegelman and Francois Moulet. This is number 2. I just grabbed this one at random. There's a Jerry Moriarty page. A nice Hugh Swart cover. I really like that cover. There's a Hugh Swart story. You know, and this would have been the only place you could have seen stuff like this. Here's a Bill Griffith strip. The man behind Zippy. Rick Geary. Very surprising to me that he's in Raw. He just doesn't strike me as a Raw kind of guy. Mark Bayer, wonderful cartoonist that now seems kind of forgotten by a lot of people. Kaz, pre-Underworld. Anyway, Drew Friedman. You can just see this just great cartoonists in here. Ben Ketcher. And buying this, here we go. Here's a mouse, a survivor's tale. There's a little insert here. But yeah, finding these on a newsstand in the early 80s must have been just fucking mind-blowing. I can't even imagine what it would have been like. There are 8 issues of Raw in this format, 3 issues that are sort of digest-sized books that were published by Penguin. Those I think you can find fairly easily. These original issues all go for a lot of money, and of course will probably never be reprinted. I don't know. I mean, it would take so much work to get the rights from everyone to do it. And of course, part of the thrill of this is the format itself. And so the idea that someone would ever reprint them like this, I don't know that it'll ever happen. But I really wish these were available for more people. You know, it's almost impossible to live up to its legend. That's just the reality. But this is a damn good anthology. And at the time, revolutionary. At number 15, Will Eisner's The Spirit. This is another one that I don't think would be this high on the list nowadays. But at the time, made perfect sense. Eisner loomed large over comics. Even though most of his graphic novels aren't very good, he was kind of the first guy to really make a concerted effort to be a graphic novelist. And The Spirit was still very fondly remembered by a lot of people. DC would eventually collect all of them into, I think, 26 archives. I would say you don't really need that. You find a couple of best of books like this, or maybe pick up a couple of archives, you know, from the middle. You'll probably get what you're looking for. If you like that, go check out some more. But while I'm not the biggest Eisner guy in the world, impossible to deny his talent and influence. Number 14, Blood of Palomar by Gilbert Hernandez. This book is largely comprised of one story, Human Diastrophism, sort of a novel-length story, and one that I would consider to be the best comic I've ever read. I think Gilbert Hernandez's Palomar stories are the best comics ever made, and I think this story is the peak. Some might argue Poison River, which appeared, 20 spots ago on the list, but I do think this is the peak of his powers. Just truly, truly great work. A real tour de force. And his cartooning is just brilliant here, and just paired with everything coming together in terms of the writing. Just a masterpiece. At number 13, his brother Jaime appears again, Wigwam Bam. His third appearance on the list. I think all of these should have just been considered one entry personally, but, just incredible stuff. You can already see in the last video I showed the death of Speedy, and that art's a little different from this. It's just amazing what kind of level both of the brothers are working on. Jaime, his art has been gorgeous pretty much since day one, but each one of his eras just looks fantastic. Great stuff. Tom Spurgeon, who was the editor of the Comics Journal when they made the list, often used to say on his blog, The Comics Reporter, that the first volume of Love and Rockets 1 through 50, that was the best comic series ever. And he'll get no argument from me. I agree. Two of the best cartoonists ever working in the same title at the same time. Unbelievable. Number 12, the War Comics of Harvey Kurtzman. I think these are really kind of his best work in a lot of ways. Not my favorite of his work, but I would say his best work without too much of a reservation. Just a wonderful cartoonist. And when he was plotting them out for other people to draw, you can still kind of see how it would have worked if he had drawn it. He had such a strong storytelling sense. These were regarded so highly when I was young that it wasn't really a surprise to me when I saw him on the list at this high list, number 12. I think I probably mentioned it every time his name has come up, that, I'm not the biggest Kurtzman guy, but these are great works. And Kurtzman is the number one guy on the top 100. He has 5 entries. Something that I do not think would be replicated today, but which made a lot of sense at the time. Sadly, so much of his work is out of print that I think his influence has waned. At number 11, a strip that might place higher nowadays, as hard as that is to believe. But thanks to Fantagraphics doing this reprint, they're now working their way through it again in paperback. E.C. Segar's Thimble Theater, known to modern readers as Popeye, but originally Popeye was not the star. He got introduced at a certain point, but quickly became the star, took things over. And E.C. Segar didn't work for that long. I want to say maybe 12 years on this. He passed away at an early age. But this is a strip that's really grown in people's estimations. He's such a great writer. And these are just really, really fun strips. Well worth checking out. And kudos to Fantagraphics for keeping them available. Once again, if you want to know any more about the list, Canon. The Canon Annual 2024. available at canonzine.bigcartel.com. If you didn't hear enough of my blathering in these videos, you're going to want to read this issue. Takes a very close look at this list from every angle I could think of. All right, I'll be back with one more and cover the top 10. And I'll see you soon. Thanks.